Welcome back, F-holes. I am so excited that you spent so much time exploring different positions on your instrument. I'm glad you've gotten more comfortable with them, and hopefully you've really established some good intonation in all those different places that you've got. So it's morning around here, so I'm having a lovely cranberry juice with ginger ale. It's delicious. It's my favorite drink, believe it or not. Little later, there might be some vodka added onto this because, heck, it's the weekend. So what can you do? So cheers to learning how to change from position to position. It's time to shift. Welcome to Advice for F-holes. I am so excited to talk to you about all things strings. We're going to talk to teachers, we're going to talk to performers, we're going to talk to learners of string instruments so that we can figure some of this shit out together. Because playing a string instrument is not always easy, and sometimes it's vaguely inappropriate. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a topic each week, we're going to pull it apart, and I'm going to say what I need to say, and then you're going to comment, and hopefully we'll figure some of this stuff out together. I'm your host, Tracy Emerson. I've been teaching strings for over 30 years. I started playing violin back in third grade, and there are a lot of great things that I've learned over the years, a lot of great things I've shared over the years, and still so many things that I'm puzzled about. So I hope you'll join me on this adventure as we figure some of this out together. Welcome back. All right, we're going to be changing positions today, and we're going to do a very basic rundown of how you're going to do that, what procedure you're going to use, what things are important to think about, and what that proper technique is going to be. So the first thing we have to talk about, anchor finger. All right, so your point of reference, your starting point, everything is going to be in relation to that. This is your pointer finger. Okay, we established that in the last episode where we talked about your first finger tells you which position you are in based on how many letter names you're going up the string. Okay, so next thought is that is what's going to establish you no matter where you go. So if I'm in first position and I've got a B on the string, all my other fingers, the C, the D, the E, all of the other in-betweens, your sharps, your flats, those are all in relation to this. So if I've got a 1-2 half step, or a 2-3, or 3-4, or something really wonky with all whole steps, or whatever it is, it's all in relation to that first finger. So that's going to be our place of establishment for each of our positions. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from just figuring out how to get anchor finger to anchor finger in our next position. What we need to do to move from position to position is glide. We're not going to jump there. All right, so there's a really great technique all involved in that. So take a sip of your beverage if you've got one. If not, just hang tight because I'm parched. And we're going to talk about how to glide from place to place. When we change position, we need to make sure that everything is one unit like we did before when we were talking about different positions. Remember, we had established that all of your hand shape, everything is going to remain consistent. And to do that, everything needs to stay the same. So if I'm changing position, I'm not changing the finger or a group of fingers. The whole arm is changing at one time. So the first thing I like to do is I like to just start with gliding my thumb up and down the neck. Okay, because what that's going to do is that's going to establish that smooth, fluid motion. Okay, now I'm going to go even further. So you notice that my thumb comes around my instrument when I have to get way up there in the stratosphere. All right, so that's going to establish that nice, smooth one unit moving together. The next thing we need to talk about is the sound that you're going to make. So we're going to experiment with a couple of different sounds as we shift from place to place. So I'm going to do a basic first position to third position shift, and I'm going to make it very, very glissando. So with that, you notice that I was moving properly, but in the middle of a piece, A, that's going to be too slow. B, yeah, no, most of our music is not going to call for glissandos on that level, although my students would love that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about, here's where our departure is, and there's our arrival. So what we're going to do now is our finger's going to hold the string down, and then as we depart, we're going to release the pressure on the string, and then we're going to sink it back into the string on the arrival. So I want you to really watch that. So if I were to exaggerate it a bit, it would look like this. Okay, but it's not going to be up, down. It's going to be slowly release and slowly sink back into the string. Next, we're going to practice some shifting together. So we're going to start with first position to third position on our A string, because if we used our E string, our neighbors would hate us. So here we go. We're going to go from B to D and then back. We're going to do that 3 times. Here we go. Okay, this is the speed. One, two, ready, and. A little less weight this time. A little less weight this time. So you could hear that glide diminish the glissando each time that I played it. We're going to now figure out how do you establish yourself in a different position, and learning that distance with your fingers is a big deal. That muscle memory is going to take a lot of this glissando back and forth business. So we're going to now try fourth position. So before we do that, we're going to establish where that pitch is that we are going to our arrival. There we go. So I'm actually going to start with that note, shift back to first, and then back up to fourth position. So I'm starting here, I'm shifting down, and then back up. So if you do that with each position, and you practice both shifting up, down, and then start at the top, shift down, and then back up, that's going to help with establishing where those arrival points are, and your arm's going to get used to feeling where that distance is. So try that with all of your different positions, but make sure you find first what position you're going to. Find that arrival. Make sure as you explore those different positions and work on that shift that you're not guessing where you're going. Because if your ear is telling you where to go, that's a lot different than actually knowing where your departure and arrival should be. Your ear is going to help you. As you noticed, a couple of my shifts were not spot on, so I got to refine them. But if I'm just trying to guess, we're not going to really establish that knowledge and that presence of mind of where that arrival is going to be, because eventually we're going to connect that to notes on the page, which is going to complicate the whole thing. So make sure that you know where you're going, know where you're going back to, then your ear gets to do its job and guide you to that right point. when it comes to shifting, I would be glad to respond and glad to follow up with another episode. So in the meantime, guard your F-holes, and I will see you next time. Please subscribe. Thanks. Thank you for listening to Advice for F-holes. Please subscribe and share your comments below so we can have a great conversation.